Thank you guys for tuning in this week for our installation of Conversations. Conversations is a show about dialogue and not debate, and that's what we want for our city, is just to talk about the issues, bring them to the forefront, so together we can know what's going on and then help make a change, because knowledge is power. Today I have in studio with me for my next guest, Idarius Ray. He is joining us here in the station today. And Idarius, I know from what I know about you that mentorship is something that is extremely important to your life and has gotten to you to a certain point. But I would like for you to share with our viewers a little bit about your background and your view on mentorship.
Yes, sir. Mentoring, man, I feel like that goes such a long way. You know, back before even our time, like in society now, you know, if you look at the 300 and Spartans and stuff like that, they had mentors. You know, they looked up to the older people to show them the way to be. And I feel like that is like key in society in general. And the biggest thing about it is having positive ones to look up to. I feel like that is the biggest thing, is that oftentimes we don't have enough positive ones to look up to. We look up to the wrong role models, the wrong people, the people who do the wrong things. And for me, mentoring has went above and beyond in my life. If I wouldn't have had some of the people that I had outside of my own family to, you know, kind of give me, guide me along the way, kind of just lead me towards the right direction, pretty much, based off the things that they know and what they've done in their life. If I wouldn't have had that, I would not have been able to get to where I'm at today at all.
Yeah, thank you for sharing some of that with us. Also, could you just share a little bit about, you know, your path through school, your path to your career, and just how the individuals who've been in your life helped you through that?
Absolutely. Man, my path, like pretty much anybody who feel that they have reached some sort of point of success, I've had many difficulties, man, like so many struggles. And I kind of just persevered through, and I had certain people along the way, like middle school, for example. That was a key moment for me that I can remember. I believe you actually had her on the show, Paula Villarreal. She was my counselor in during 8th grade, I believe, 7th and 8th grade. And just having her, she was just like mainly like a mother type figure, but she brought forth something that I didn't have where I was coming from in my culture. She brought a difference, and that difference that she brought kind of helped steer me into a different direction and help me change my way of thinking and make me see things from a different perspective, because she had an outside perspective. And I feel like oftentimes we truly need that. And then, you know, she kind of stayed with me through high school, and then outside in college, I had certain individuals that I met and certain coaches outside of high school into college that really just helped guide me and mentor me. At one point, whenever I moved to California, I actually lived with a police officer. He was a Los Angeles police officer. And in all honesty, man, he was one of the greatest men I've ever met in my life, just from his character and the way he conducted himself. And he just had a good heart towards everyone. And so that kind of, for example, that just me being around him, having that change in my environment from where I come from like a lower class background, things like that. And we perceive police and things in certain ways, you know. And so being able to live with him, seeing like, you know, the stereotypes in the media, like that's not what it's cracked up to be. Like, this is one of the nicest men I've ever met in my life, you know, completely goes against what people might tell you in the media and things like that. And so it's just been certain people like that throughout my life, you know, that kind of helped gear me along the way. I remember growing up, whenever I played, I guess it was the WTYFL, I played football. I had a coach, his name was Joseph Duke. Amazing man. Just, I don't know what he saw in me, man, but he kind of just guided me and helped, you know, give me positive words, tell me that, you know, I could be this, I could be that. And that right there to me goes the longest way, is what you tell a kid. To me, a kid, you know, their mind is like a sponge at a young age. And so they absorb everything. They just absorb it. And whether you're feeding them negativity or positivity or inspiration, they're going to take all of that in and digest it. And to me, that's what they're going to become. And so, you know, it was having certain people in my lives that fed me those voices of positivity that I was able to hold on to when I did face the struggles in my life that came with trying to reach success. You know, when I had my major setbacks, or I had those people who did tell me I wouldn't be able to do this or do that, I was able to cling on to those few voices of positivity that I had. And by far, besides my relationship with God, those things is what carried me to the point that I'm at now, and to get me through school, in college, getting a master's degree, you know. And I say it on here on the show, a lot of people don't know this about me. And I hate to admit it, I truly never read a whole book a day in my life from start to finish. And with that being said, I don't say that to just downplay my knowledge. I say it to kind of give other people inspiration. I have a master's degree. I had to figure out a different type of way to read and process for me, because I clearly had a processing disorder. It's not that I can't read, it's just I had a processing disorder retaining information. And so I had to learn to take little notes. Anytime I read something, I might just only be able to get like a page, and I have to like summarize that up into 3 words. And I could remember everything from those 3 words. And that's how I was able to get through school. So like I said, man, it's truly, to me, it's just about the key voices of positivity, and I guess along with that, determination.
Okay. No, I truly love how you answered that question. It had lots of depth, and you know, just your reasons why. Okay. Without those individuals in your life, you know, do you feel you could have become the person you are today?
Absolutely not. And that's why I feel like I do about mentoring. It's because I feel like you have to have it. And of course, I feel like our idealism, you know, in a perfect world, the way we ideal it is your mentors will come from the household, you know, your parents. Those are supposed to be your mentors. But oftentimes it doesn't always work that way, especially in lower class communities, you know, even in middle class communities. Take middle class, for example, you know, a lot of times parents might be working, things like that, might be in and out of the home, but on a constructive level. But even then, it's like, where is that child getting their influence from? Are they getting it from school? And if they are getting it from school, who are they getting it from? Are they getting it from their peers? And what type of peers are they surrounded by? Have they had an older adult even kind of tell them what type of peers they possibly should hang around? You know, and so I feel like that's another thing, is that oftentimes we get left trying to figure things out on our own as children and just as juveniles, you know. And I feel like trying to figure it out on your own, you look to any advice and any source for guidance, you know.
Idarius, can you just expand a little bit more on what you do currently in your current position, and how the need for mentorship there is the greatest?
In my position, in my field of work, I am a juvenile probation officer at Randall County, and mentoring is fundamental. When kids come to me, like pretty much how I express, you know, we would like for parents to be the mentors, but every time a kid has ever came to me across my desk and sat across from me, it pretty much it's like the same thing. They're lacking someone in their life that shows true structure and stability for them, and I guess someone that they feel truly cares about them. You know, someone that is asking them questions, asking them about their day, just little things like that. You know, asking a kid about their day goes a long way. You know, it's the aspect of caring. They need somebody to care about them. But along with caring, I feel like caring is the biggest thing. But along with caring, I feel like it's consistency. You have to be consistent. You know, you can't be someone who says you're going to help them, but then fold on them the next day. I mean, you lose trust instantly like that. And so with my job, oftentimes it is truly the same thing. It's kids that didn't really have enough guidance. And whether it stemmed from the home or somewhere else, they either didn't have enough guidance, or the guidance that they did have was, I guess, manipulated, and they looked at it they were taking it in the wrong way. but they didn't know that themselves.
I understand that, because daily you see children in some of the most extreme positions that they can have in their lifetime, being where they're at with you, with juvenile probation going on. Let me ask you about your success stories with that. You know, what the kids that are successful, that end up exiting out of juvenile probation, you know, what kind of characteristics do they take on from maybe even conversations with you or others?
I got to be honest, I've only been working in the field for next month to be a year and a half. And so with that being said, I've still had a lot of kids come my way. A lot, you know, we get them in and out. It's a lot of things going on. And so I truly feel like it all boils down to the individual. Because I got this old saying about not really just about myself, but just in general, that like, if you don't know, you don't know. And so, I mean, a lot of times the kids that come through, they just don't really even know. Like, to some people that experience certain things in their life, you know, or had a certain amount of structure, they might just understand and know how to act a certain way, you know, and they really can't see why like someone might do the things that they do. Well, if that person was never taught that, in general, they literally was never taught that, then how do you expect them to be acting, I guess, right, you should say, or acting how we would expect them to act? And so at that point, I feel like when they come to us, they come to the juvenile probation department, it's our responsibility to give them that knowledge of how to act better, if that makes sense, to let them know like, hey, the things that you were doing, you might not have known they weren't right, or you might have kind of had a feeling they weren't right, but you just didn't have nobody to tell you they weren't right. It's our job to let them know that, hey, you're messing up now, and I'm going to tell you how to do better. And so from that point, the kids that I believe have the most success are truly the ones who want it. That's what it comes down to, is just wanting it. That's what anything in life, whether it's a goal or anything, it's if you want it for yourself. And, you know, we all have different journeys, and not to say just because a kid wasn't successful in probation for a year doesn't mean they're not going to be successful in life, you know, because we all learn and our journeys are completely different. And so I really feel like that's the biggest thing, is them wanting it for themselves. I see that.
And one of the things that I want to kind of highlight and go back into is a little bit more into risk taking. And from your angle, I'm thinking untraditional risk taking, because you talked briefly about breaking the cycle, breaking the generational cycle, the getting out of poverty, how it is in your life, living day to day in that. For you to get away from that into what is normal within your family, that was a risk. How did you find the confidence to take that risk, to break that cycle for yourself?
Well, see, like I just said, if you don't know, you don't know. At first, you know, I didn't really just realize like exactly how I was living and stuff. You know, it was kind of normal to me. It's like if you go to Africa or something like that, and you take a kid that doesn't really have food and water or television, and you like, man, like, how are you doing this? They're going to look at you like, I just do it. This is my life. And so I feel like it's kind of that same aspect. And the thing that ended up changing for me is I'm very strong within my faith. And I was able to grow up in the church, and I got a relationship with God. And I kind of feel like, just being honest, you know, this is just me speaking from my own personal beliefs. I feel like when you have that, like, the Lord kind of builds us with a moral compass. And so you can kind of feel in your heart. And I guess the best way to put it is like, when he gives you that moral compass, even though, how you said, it was a risk for me to make it out, the way I look at it is, it's kind of like an analogy. I look at it as if you like put a blind man in like a closed room, and you have a bunch of people telling him all type of negative things. You know what I mean? He can't see what was right. He can't see for himself, go see what's right. He's blind. So he has no choice but to rely on his hearing. And so with that being said, he got people constantly telling him negative things. It's like, how do he find a way to do what's right? And I believe that's when you rely on your heart. And like I said, man, I had a relationship with God, and I allowed him into my heart. And with that being said, it kind of guided me on my own to see that I wanted different, to see what I was being surrounded by was not right. And I could feel it, that I wanted better. I could feel that this wasn't right and I wanted better. And then along the way, after me getting that for myself, along the way, I met other individuals throughout my life, people that helped mentor me, things like that, you know, that kind of, I guess I should say, validated that feeling that I already had within myself. You know, if that answers your question.
No, that I think that was a beautiful response to the question. Is finding your inner voice and knowing that that's stronger than the people's expectations or their peer pressure to be a certain way, especially in North Amarillo, in the community, when they believe, not they, individuals, okay, lots of individuals, especially younger ones, they buy into the flash and the flare of the, you know, some of the individuals in their neighborhoods who show the worst parts of the world. And you having the strength in that inner voice and just coming on air to let others know that I know it's there, you know it's there, you know, let's pull on that so that we can help grow our community and do better for ourselves and for our families and future generations. And within that, you know, one of the last things I'd like to talk to you about a little bit is you deal and you see lots of failure within children daily, and especially when they're meeting with you in your small groups and you guys are making action plans for them. Could you just share with us for yourself a time that you felt like you failed, and how did you bounce back?
That's really tough for me. And the reason that's tough for me as far as with my job is because I told myself before going into work when I guess got hired, and I just kind of told myself that, like, as long as you give your all to these kids, you know that you're giving them your heart every day through your words, then you can't fail them, you know? And I don't want to sound bad, like have a bad perspective on it, but I don't feel like I failed any of them. As long as I know I'm literally coming every day to work, whether I didn't had a crazy day where I didn't get a lunch after me waking up at 4:30 in the morning to work out and things like that. If I sit down with that kid and I don't rush them out of my office or rush a parent off the phone, I listen to everything they tell me. I listen to everything that kid tells me, and I try to pour back into him everything that I wish I had. I don't feel like I could ever fail a kid.
Okay. And within your own personal experience, you know, is there any story that you would be comfortable sharing of your own personal failure and bouncing back from it?
Oh, absolutely, man. My biggest one would be, I guess, not making it to the NFL. It literally destroyed my heart because, you know, you take this goal and you work for it for so long, and then not only when you work for it, when you have a goal, you got to visualize it. You got to see it, and that's one of the things that'll carry you to work towards it. You know, you see it. And I saw mine so vividly, and I worked towards it every day and put in the effort, and it didn't happen. And then after it didn't happen, it kind of crumbled me. And it's just like, you know, I was lost. Like, I didn't know what else to do then. And then I feel like that aspect of failure just kind of, it kind of helped me in a way. It really did. I had to learn from it. And I mean, we all know that about failure. Failure can be the greatest thing to build you, truthfully. You know, we hear about Michael Jordan, how he was cut, things like that. Yeah. And so after that failure, and actually I'm lying. I didn't just fail once. I failed twice. I failed, got depressed, picked myself back up again, and decided to try again. And I tried it even harder that time, and I still failed. And with that being said, you know, I still, deep down, you know, I still feel like I might have a shot at playing professional football. They started a new league, the XFL, things like that. And, you know, I play for the Venom. And so you never know. The opportunity might still be there. You just got to work towards it. But it would absolutely be me not making it the first time was like, I felt like I failed myself and failed my family. I was just a disappointment. That's really how I felt.
Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing those things. And I like you bringing it in Jordan, because when you were talking, it brought me back one of my favorite Jordan quotes is, I never lose. I take it as a lesson and I learn from it. That's how he took his L's, where they were lessons.
Absolutely.
And I think that you've done the same in your life. Is you've taken those points where you felt like you've hit rock bottom. You've learned a lesson from them, and you've gone out and you've showed the most prosperous side of yourself. So again, I just want to dap you up and say, I've watched your journey from outside, and it's motivated me to keep doing what I do, because individuals who have that mindset that's unbreakable, to be able to continue to push themselves to get to another level. You're one of those individuals, and I applaud you, brother, and thank you for your time today, and thank you for coming on. I know it's one of those resources, this time spent today. I feel that I've learned something from you, and again, I just appreciate you, Idarius.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on here, RJ. Like I told you, man, I'm all about this. Anything I can do to try to, like I said, pour knowledge, pour my heart out, and be, a contributing factor to motivating people and inspiring people to continue to fight and do the right thing and just try to be the best them that they can be. I'm all about it. So I really appreciate you for having me on here.
All right. And that is it for this installation, this weekly installation of Conversations, where it is about a dialogue and not a debate. We want to inspire people to do different than they did yesterday, and chase their dreams by listening to the stories of others, to listening to others' failures, their losses, because even some of our viewers today that see this video may get that inspiration from a mentorship conversation and see us as mentors. So again, you never know what your words and your impact are going to do daily. So walk with purpose daily, and bless all our viewers out there. Thank you.